You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
Before I started eating the dog food, something clicked in me, and I decided I'm not doing this because it's a punishment. I'm doing something disgusting because I said so. And it was the most transformative thing I've ever done in my entire life. I had been okay with setting big goals and not achieving them because when I wouldn't achieve them, I'd just live off the dream of the next big goal over and over again. My stomach twisting that week was that part of me died.
This episode is brought to you by JM Real Estate Capital.
Hi, it's Rob, JM Real Estate Capital. We're the money guys that you need to know for all your real estate investments. Talk to us. We can do what your local bank can't or won't do. We don't have millions, we have trillions with a T to lend. 844 we close, or go online, jmrecapital.com. That's jmrecapital.com. JM Real Estate Capital, smart solutions for the real estate investor.
So first off, welcome. Thank you guys for being here on a snowy night. We got something truly special in store for you. Whether you're a seasoned investor or an aspiring entrepreneur, or just looking for that next big breakthrough, you're in the right place tonight, as you always are. And tonight, we're beyond excited to bring you the hands-on workshop with one of the most sought-after mindset coaches in the industry. Our guest speaker has helped thousands of investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders break through limiting beliefs and achieve the impossible. He is someone who has helped thousands of investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders unlock their full potential and achieve what once seemed impossible. He is an alignment coach, an entrepreneur, the founder of Jason Drees Coaching, where he has conducted over 10,000 coaching sessions to help people break through limiting beliefs and step to success. His best-selling book, which we handed out 30 some of them now, is called Do the Impossible, Unlock the Full Potential with the Power of Mindset. And it's transformed the way people approach growth, business, and life. And his powerful 5-step framework has been game changer for so many. And tonight, he's here to guide you through a hands-on workshop to help you reprogram your mindset for success in 2025. Please give the loudest welcome that the Omaha REIA can give to Jason Drees.
Ted. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome, even though it's kind of cold outside. I'm from Austin, Texas. It's nice to see you all here tonight. Thank you, Ted, for the invitation to be here. And are you all investors? Real estate investors? Okay. I like real estate investors. Like 80% of my clients are real estate investors. Past few years has been a lot of fun, right? Okay, we'll talk about that tonight. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We're going to jump in. So I'm 51 years old, live in Austin, Texas. I'm from Southern California. I got 4 boys. Thank you, Ted, for live streaming, because I think they're watching. Dash, Magnus, Leo, Ace. Love you guys. Hope you're doing well. And I am a mindset coach, a professional mindset coach. And I've been coaching professionally for 12 years. And Jason Drees Coaching is really the result of my efforts over the past 24 years to create what I want in life. Trying to figure out how to be successful, trying to figure out how to make money and overcome things that are holding me back, and things that just don't feel good, and emotional issues. So the search I went on over the past 20 years, it took me through Tony Robbins as a coach there and beyond. The end result of that is Jason Drees Coaching. And the methodology I'm sharing with you today is how to actually start doing the impossible. So how are things right now? How's the market? How is business? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me see some. Give me some. It's fabulous. We got. Everybody show me a thumb. Where do you think? Like, great. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. It's different all over. You know, the past year or two has really changed things quite a bit. But one thing you notice is that even when the market is down, and even when the market is difficult, and even when interest rates are high, there are still people that are excelling. There are people that win in any market. You know, it was a couple of years ago, it got really bad, like the end of 22, and it just tanked. You know, things were really difficult. But what we all know here is if we fast forward 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to see these new influencers rise up who created all their success right now. So what's the difference between those that are creating wild success right now and those who are getting stuck. The real difference there is mindset. Mindset is the issue. And the thing about mindset, it's really interesting being a mindset coach, and it's very interesting being an expert at something that's difficult to explain to people. Because mindset is like, what is mindset? Mindset is your brain, it's your thinking, it's your point of view. And your mindset is created by your past, where you went to school, the education you had, the jobs you had, the experiences you had. That all creates this pattern in your brain of how life works and how to get what you want. And if you look at your life today, in this moment right now, your life right now is the result of your mindset. And I'm guessing that all of you are wanting more time, more money, and you're all entrepreneurs. It's not about money, it's about freedom, right? We're after freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of resources. And how many of you have spent a lot of time putting in the hours and the effort and not getting the result? Like you do the work and you're putting it in, but it's just not working. And you don't know what to do. I've actually cracked that code to kind of help you kind of understand how to fill in that gap, to close the gap, to get where you want to go when things aren't working. So here's my official slide. One of the clients that you've probably heard of is Brandon Turner. I first started coaching Brandon in 2017 when he was still working in Bigger Pockets. And the majority of the clients I work with are entrepreneurs, and the majority are real estate investors. The number one thing we really do at Jason Drees Coaching is we help people make more money. That's what most people come to us to make more money, because most are entrepreneurs. But what we really do in the process is we kind of help balance out and make every area in your life amazing. Because it's this new program I've created called alignment-based coaching, and we're going to talk about that tonight. So, I grew up in Southern California, and when I was in fourth grade, my parents moved me from Long Beach, California to Diamond Bar, California, which was kind of an upper-class area. And to give you an idea what that was like is that pretty much most people in my class when I was 16 got BMWs for their birthdays. I got a job. Okay. My parents did the best they could. I love my parents, but I always had kind of a craving for more. And I heard a lot growing up, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. So I started my first job at the Diamond Bar golf course, and I have worked ever since. And I've worked and worked and worked. And I was always looking for a way to get ahead and to get more. I went to college, Cal Poly Pomona, civil engineering. That was a big waste of time. I dropped out. Went into technology sales, and I was good at sales. So I was in technology sales for about 16 years. And then in 2010, I founded a company called 986 Incorporated, which was my first business, with my sales engineer, and we manufactured and designed race car driver cooling suits. Very interesting, a lot of fun, and didn't really go anywhere. And I didn't really know much about running a business back in 2008. But in 2010, I hired a Tony Robbins coach, because I first started listening to Tony Robbins in 2002, 2003. I heard his Personal Power, listened to those tapes, and I started to understand limiting beliefs. I started to understand mindset. And then I got a flyer in the mail, and I was like, oh, a Tony Robbins session. So I called up that session, had a coach, and hired him to help me run that business better. And the business did as it did. It went a few years, and then that business kind of shut down. But 2 years later, my coach asked me a question. And I was, I think, 39 years old at the time. He said, Jason, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? And when he asked me that question, it was like I got hit by lightning. Like my life changed in that moment. Because I'd never really found the work that I loved. I could always be in the top 10% without much effort of whatever I was doing, but I didn't love what I was doing. I was good at sales, but it wasn't exciting for me. And then when I thought about becoming a coach, it was like, okay, let's become a coach. I have no idea how to do it. And something interesting happened. It was like the first time in my life I was actually excited about learning something. So I went to a Tony Robbins event, UPW. I went to another event, Date with Destiny. I post on Facebook, I'm a coach with zero training. And I got a client. It was really basic coaching back then. That was really 2013. And then 2 months later, I get into the Tony Robbins Coach Training Program. I was living in the Bay Area with my now ex-wife, and we had one son, and she was pregnant with a second. I was working a tech sales job, and I'm like, this is great. Tech sales is great. I'm getting into Tony Robbins Coaching. Awesome. And then we moved from the Bay Area to Sacramento so she could stay home and cut our housing costs in half. And then 3 weeks after we moved, right before the Magnus was born, I get laid off from that job. And I'm like, I want to become a Tony Robbins coach. And they're like, it pays $30 an hour. I'm like, so I was at this crossroads of like, really excited to go this new direction and find something and start my own business and do that, but at the same time, not knowing how to make money. So it was very difficult, very challenging, and it was basically build a business with a gun to your head. And that's kind of how things started. And that's kind of the first part of my story, is like discovering that I wanted to create my own business. I wanted to live life on my own terms. And then finally figuring out what it actually was exciting, but it was also difficult because I didn't know how to do it. So that's kind of the first part of my story, and we'll continue that story in a second. So let's shift gears for a second and talk about real estate investing. How many of you got into real estate investing because you wanted more freedom? And how many of you imagined a life as a real estate investor where, money wasn't an issue? Now, be honest, is that dream the same as it was before, or is it smaller? It's probably smaller, because at the beginning, it's easy to dream big, but then we start to get practical and you got to be realistic and all of that stuff. But so my question to you is are you ready to do something about that? Would you like to do something about that? What if tonight, what if right now is a moment, a pivot, a delineation point, a pivot that changes the entire trajectory of your life? So how do you make this event, this talk here, something that changes your life versus something that you just forget about tomorrow? So the way you do that is move into a mindset where it's going to. If you want to get something powerful tonight, set an intention right now. Say, I want to get something great out of this. And that's the framework for starting to shift your mindset. So let's get into a mindset where something great happens tonight. So tonight we're going to have 3 parts. We're going to talk about doing the impossible. I'm going to help you start upgrading your mindset. And I'm going to share the system that I created to do the impossible. So my goal tonight is to help you. So right now this is you right here. This is time. This is success. And this is you right here, point A. The majority of people's point B is going to be right here. The average person maybe grows 5%, 10% a year. My goal tonight, and what doing the impossible is making this reality the most probable reality. Because every single one of you has the potential to do this. But I know that walking in this door tonight, that was not your most probable reality. My goal tonight is to get you pointed in this direction. My goal tonight is to get you inspired to raise your standard. Because the fact is, you're already doing the work. You're already putting in the time. You're already putting in the hours. And you're already dealing with problems. The only difference is that you're not pointed in the right direction. And most people aren't pointed up here because when you point up here, it causes some things like more growth. And when you're hit with growth that you don't know how to deal with, we can often shut down. So we end up aiming at a level that we can manage emotionally, so we end up playing at 80% of our potential because you literally don't know how to deal with the growth. Tonight, I'm going to show you the foundation of how to start to deal with that growth so you can go as fast as you want. Does that sound good? My other goal for tonight is really to get you to believe that you can do the impossible. My other goal is I want some of you texting me on New Year's Eve saying, Jason, this was the best year of my life. That's one of my goals. When we're going from point A to point B, we need to know both points, right? When you use Google Maps, you have to put in 2 addresses. We got to know point A, point B. So are you aiming at the level that you want, or have you been aiming lower than that? Because we can get in patterns where we're not getting what we want, and we aim lower thinking it's going to be easier. How many of you have had a failure and then aimed lower and lower and lower, and it just doesn't work, and you're in this downward spiral? The reason why aiming lower never works is because you have to play at the level of your potential, because life will not reward mediocrity. And that's why the most of you are not aiming high enough, not aiming nearly high enough. And if you're not playing at the right level, if you're aiming at making, let's say you're making a couple $100,000 a year, you're aiming to make $1 million a year, you're kind of excited about that. If you're supposed to be playing at the $5 million a year level, you're not going to find the resources, the ideas, the contacts. You've got to play at the level that excites you. That's the level you got to play at. So that's our starting point right there. Now the question, why did you play at that level last year? Anybody want to share? Shout out and answer? What do you think?
Hi, my name is Mel. I'm Jeremy's wife.
Hello.
And Jeremy Murray over here. And I am just new in the industry, I guess you could say. I don't even have a license. So as I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do, I've been helping my friends and helping other entrepreneurs. And it's funny, as I have worked with them, what I've realized is that in doing it, I ended up devaluing myself. It wasn't intentional, it was an accident, right? I just wanted to help. But something that Jeremy actually has taught me in our partnership is that it's okay to be compensated for that work. And at some point in time, you have to start to prioritize. If you don't start to prioritize, you can't be successful, because then you're just riding all the highs and lows of life. And it just gets messy.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Let's give her a hand, everybody. Can anyone else relate to that? So the thing is, can you be successful if you're not willing to receive? Because it's an exchange. There's always an energetic exchange. And one of the things that I talk to a lot of clients is especially new businesses and new entrepreneurs, they don't believe that they're worthy of it. Their self-worth as an entrepreneur isn't there. And that's one of the things that can actually hold you back, is like your financial mindset and your belief about that. So being aware of that is the first step. That's point A. The next step is, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to change that. Because the thing is, the more you receive, the more value you can give. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so let's talk about what is doing the impossible. I talk about doing the impossible. Doing the impossible is going after what you want. It's like aiming at all your targets. It's getting your ideal target. It's like making that most exciting future your most probable reality. And then the question is, why should you do the impossible? And this is where I like to point out that you're already doing the work. You're already putting the time in. You're already working at with those goals. And the difference between the level you're playing at and doing the impossible is not a massive jump. It's a small shift. It's a slight distinction. It's a decision. And it's really the kind of the decision to not settle and to figure out how. Because there's a lot of things in your life that you've had that you didn't know how to do, and you went and figured out how. And you are far more capable and far more powerful than you think you are. I know you are. So doing the impossible is how you start to change your life and really start to transform your life for everyone around you. And one of the reasons that I play at the level that I do, and I don't back down from any target. I try to hold myself to my full potential as much as I can, and it's challenging and it's exciting at the same time. And the reason why I do that, one of the primary reasons I do that, is because I want to set the standard for my children. Because I grew up and my parents did not create financial independence. And I realized that if I don't break that pattern, I'm going to pass it on to them. And that's one of the reasons why I've worked so hard. And I've broken that pattern. And I love my parents, and they did the best they could, and they're amazing parents. It's just it was different. We're different paths. So one thing I've done is intentionally is I have never, ever said to my boys, we can't afford it. Even when I was a brand new coach in 2013, we were on food assistance from the state. That's how tight it was. I've never said that, not once, because I didn't want to put the thoughts in their head that wasn't possible. So are you dreaming at the level that you should be? Or did you stop? Did you stop dreaming? Oh, did you have to be practical? Be realistic. You can dream for that. Yes, you can. We're creating our own reality every moment of every day. And you can create the same reality over and over again, or you can change the trajectory. The first step isn't how. And everybody I talk to, they're like, I would do that, I just don't know how. I would do that, I just don't know how. But the first step isn't how. The first step is a decision. This is what I'm going to do. Does that make sense? So, what's involved? So you decide to do the impossible. You start doing the impossible. What's involved with doing the impossible? What's involved with doing the impossible is you grow faster. Now, are all of you growing right now anyway? Have you guys noticed that personal growth has been turned on permanently for the past few years, and it's increasing? Don't you guys remember the 90s when you could just put that in the closet and forget about it for 2 years? You can't do that now. You can't. Personal growth is no longer optional because consciousness and reality, everything in life is changing. We're going through an evolution of sorts. So the only thing that's involved is growing faster. So do you want to grow faster? Of course you want to do. And regardless or not if you are aiming at 110% of last year, or 120% of last year, or you're aiming at an impossible target, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have challenges. And so often we get caught up thinking that the obstacle is the problem. Oh, I would hit the target if I could get that property, or I get the next one if I could just raise money, but I don't have the money for it. I don't know how to do that. And we get so caught up in that. But that obstacle is the path. So just think about all the people that you know, and how many of them have settled or played lower and they're bitching about the obstacles or the problems. The problem is the path. And how many of you have more problems than everyone else around you? Come on, let me see hands. I'll tell you why. No, let's see hands. Who has more problem? Who looks around and says, why can't my life be easy like theirs? Come on, where's the hands? I put my hand up like that for a long time. The reason you have more problems and challenges and obstacles than everybody else is because you're supposed to be greater than everyone else around you. That's why. You signed up at some point for this path of growth and expansion. I signed up for this path. I wonder why, because it's not easy. It's really challenging and really hard. But at the same time, I love it. So if you can fall in love with the obstacle and solving the problems, then it becomes easy. If you look at those entrepreneurs you know and those investors who are at a level above you and they've got a zero behind their net worth bigger than yours, they're just better at handling big problems. That's it. So maybe we decide right now that we're going to stop complaining about problems and we're just going to face them head on. Does that sound good? Okay. When you start to do the impossible, and especially when you identify an impossible target that excites you, when you start to play at that level, it creates an increase in energy. It creates an increase in passion. You start to impact those around you. You start to become magnetic. You start to literally infect other people with greatness because your energy constantly affects everyone else. And again, my goal tonight isn't to make you all do the impossible. My goal tonight is to get you all to believe that you can and make the decision when you walk out that you're going to go for it, because life is too short to settle. It's too short to not get what you want. Because you and me and everyone else is literally one phone call, one idea, one new connection away from a deal that's generational wealth. One call, one phone call. So are you in a frame, in a reality where that is going to happen and you just don't know when? Or are you in a frame or a reality that can't happen to me? That's all mindset. Because your mindset, again, our mindset built from our past, we're moving towards the future. Most of our mindset is literally a reaction to our present reality. All right, so we wake up in the morning, we look at our bank account, look at our husband, wife, our physical body, we look at that, and then we have a reaction. And we start to take action, and that's why we stay in the same place over and over again, because we haven't shifted the frame, we haven't changed anything. We're literally in this pattern of reaction, action over and over again. The way to start creating the reality you want is to get out of reaction, process the emotional reaction, and then move into a frame of alignment with the target that you want, which basically means aligning with the version of you that knows how to do it. And the thing is, you're like, that sounds difficult. It's actually very easy. Can you get a sense of a version of you in the future that made 7 figures in one day? Can you get a sense of that version? And if you put your attention on that for a little bit, and maybe yours was 8 figures or something like that, can you get a sense of the version of you that just did the impossible and knows how to do the impossible? I'm seeing smiles. Like, it's because your focus dictates your reality. We live in an attraction-based universe. We're constantly creating this physical reality. And whether you're attracting this reality or this reality, you're attracting a reality. So the key is to focus on the one you want and stop complaining about the one you don't want. But unfortunately, the one you don't want is in your face, especially financially, it's in your face. So getting your attention off that one is a little bit difficult. That's where coaching really comes in, to get your attention off that one. But you hold your attention on that reality you want, on that future version of you with that impossible goal, and you literally hold alignment with it for literally 48 hours, you'll see things change like that. Because we are creating at such a rate now. Like, we're almost, I like to call it instant manifestation with a 48-hour delivery time. But what ends up happening is we get in alignment with it, like, okay, this is great, and then 3 hours later we go the opposite direction and we just lost it. So holding that alignment with what you want is how you start to create that, and we'll talk more about that in a second, okay? Okay, so the truth. Doing the impossible is not actually impossible. It's just a different target. 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 And you're already aiming at a version of that right now, right? So it's really a decision. So, how to do the impossible. First step, make a decision. First step is not how. First step is, here's where I'm going. When you get in your car, you don't start driving and then figure out where you're going, right? We get in our car, we're like, I'm gonna go here. Maybe your destination was to go driving, cruising, that's true. The first step is to make a decision. And here are 2 decision-making models. We as human beings do both of these. As a human being, we use all of these. So I'd write this down. The first one is decide, plan, commit. Decide, plan, commit. Decide, here's my target. Going to create a plan. When I get the plan, I commit to it. We've all done that, yes? Does that sound like a good strategy? Yeah, that makes logical sense, right? Decide the target, create the plan. When I get the plan, then I make the decision to make it to it. What's the problem with that model? Someone tell me. What's that? Slows you down. What else? It's easy to get lost in planning. Yes. Right. Get ready. The problem with model number 1 is that you're limited to what's already in your head only. It limits you to the current information in your head. Because you're basically saying, here's the target, can I create the plan to do it? I get the plan, okay, I'm gonna do it. Because if you don't get the plan, you don't follow through. And then you're stuck in this planning phase. We all do this as human beings, you do it subconsciously. The plan you wanna do is model 2. Number 1, decide. I'm gonna get a duplex or a multifamily, or I'm gonna do a syndication. I'm gonna do this, that is gonna happen. I haven't talked about how yet, I just decided. Number 2, it's going to happen. Commitment means you remove the option of it not occurring. We haven't even got to how yet, right? Because now you're in a resourceful. And then 3, figure out how. You've all done this before. Where was something in your life where you did decide, commit, figure out how? Was it your first business? Getting her to say yes? Like, what was it, right? We've done this before. So this is where our power comes in, because you're basically, a decision is an aligned frame. And we're going to talk more about framing a little bit, but a decision is an aligned frame. That's a frame of alignment, a frequency of alignment that will create the aligned mindset, that will create the action on what to do. Because the strategy that we spend all our time chasing is actually the byproduct of being in alignment with your target. When you get into alignment with the target, the strategy on how to do it will show up like that. Decide, commit, figure out how. So why should you do the impossible? Like, grab your pen, write something down. Why should you do the impossible? And you can think about it this way. If you play at that level of impossible, of not lowering your standard, of aiming at the target you want, if you play at that level, what positive things will come from it? Write it down. What positive things? You'll probably make some money. You'll get some free time. If you did that, would that rub off on your children? But doing the impossible is difficult. Are you willing to take the hits for them? Like, let's liberate our children from the problems we have so they can solve the next ones. Okay, so let's also look at, what if you don't do that? What if we go 12 months from now, Ted invites me back, we come back, and a big percentage of the room, half the room, did the impossible and the other half didn't, and you're in the other half that didn't, how would you feel? So if you ever need more motivation, you can look at the positive and negative. That's where the motivation kind of comes from, okay? So, question, are you committed to doing the impossible? That was pretty weak. That was pretty weak right there. Pretty weak right there. Pretty weak. Let's try that again. We'll see who's actually going to do it. I would love if every single one of you did, but statistically it's a small percentage. Are you in the small percentage or you're not? Well, I don't want to make a lot of noise. People are going to look at me funny. Well, people are going to look at you funny when you're wearing all the gold chains and stuff too, right? So, yeah, the grill, right? You don't see a lot of Bentleys in Omaha, do you? No? So, are you going to do the impossible? Yes. Yes. Okay. One more time. All right. Let's just stand up. Come on, stand up. I was a Tony Robbins coach. Ready? So we're going to put some energy into it. We're going to say, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and when I say 1, 2, 3, we're going to go yes all together and move like you're winding up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes! You got to move like Clinton. You got to move like.
I just had a hip replacement, so I can only do so much.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes! Are you going to do the impossible? 1, 2, 3. Yes! I think I'm stuck. You stuck? Okay, you'll be okay. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to draw that graph again. This is today. Point A. This is time. This is success. You can call it money too. Where's your point B? Write down your point B. Up here, up there, point B. And then write down what level are you going to play at from 0 to 10. And let's continue with the questions on the slide. What results are you going to generate from 0 to 10? Next question, how much money are you going to make this year? You're going to generate this year? And write down the first answer that pops up. You can choose. Write the first answer that comes up, not the second answer. The question is the first answer, the first one. If you want to add properties, what does that look like? How many properties you want? How many vacations you want to take? Do you want your relationship to change? What do you want your body to look like? Do you want to get back to your high school waist size? I got back to my high school waist size in the past 4 months. It feels awesome. I wish I would have started sooner. And what dream would you love to come true this year? Now, I didn't say dream that you know how to do. What dream would you love to have happen this year? So, turn to a buddy, partner, and share what level you're going to play at, what you're going to do this year, and the dream you want to come true, okay? Let's interact, okay? All right, who wants to share? All right, Shannon, would you like to share? Okay, everybody, tell me what you got from that lesson and what you're going to do.
I'm going to play out of 10, and my results are going to be out of 10.
Excellent.
Without a doubt. I'm going to make well over $250K.
Yes.
We're going to have our portfolio will go up to 60 rentals.
Nice.
I want 6 vacations.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I'm going with the police for sure in their luggage. And we've had a goal of having a home in Florida. It was supposed to be a 5-year goal, and it was a 3-year goal, and it just we've got busy.
Yeah.
So I want to get that done. We need to be on the beach in the sun, not here during this.
Would you like that done this year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go. All right, thank you, Shanna. All right, who else? What's to share? You want to stand up to the mic? Jen, and you get to pick the next person who comes up.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay.
So my goal is to have $1 million in cash flowing assets by the end of this year. And I would like to position myself to purchase the home in Florida, in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, by the end of the year. So
Excellent.
that's my goal.
Awesome, Jen. All right, point at somebody. Point at a male figure this time. Choose somebody.
I'm Cheyenne to Jen because I would never have learned about the business I'm doing right now without her. So I would love to have $15,000 in passive income every month.
Would love to have or you're going to have?
I will have $15,000 in passive income by the end of the year. 3 vacations. I will work up to 6, but 3 for sure. If I can do 3, that's awesome. That would be impossible.
Excellent.
So.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Are the ladies going to show up the men here? No men? Abe, what do you got? Welcome, Abe.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Abe, and I'm an alcoholic. So one of my biggest things is I am going to get a couple of my houses refinanced. I would like to get a new motorcycle, go on a vacation. I'm pretty laid back, simple. I don't like to leave my house. That's it, man.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing. What about you, Ted? Yeah, Ted. Ted. And Owen, you're next.
I am going to sell some rental properties. I'm going to get into storage. I am going to create a minimum of a 1-day workshop all day for REIA members. And that's what I got on the plate right now.
Excellent.
Go on.
Hello, I'm
Rachel?
Rachel Benson. My husband's in real estate, and we also started a school for entrepreneurial families and kids to help them
nice.
learn these things when they're young.
Excellent.
And it's been a big journey. And so I think when you say, you start to dream less because it feels like, whoa, I bit off this huge thing and it seems really slow. Now's the year for abundance. And so we are going to double in size and get to 52 learners by the fall.
Nice.
And this next year be able to find our own school space instead of renting from a church in the lower level. And I can't wait to just let this vision finally get into all I want it to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great.
Acton Academy.
Yeah. Would you send your kids to an entrepreneur school? Yeah? I would. Owen, thanks for jumping up.
Wow, these people are tall. I really tried not to make eye contact with anybody that was picking people, so you hunted me down. A lot of mine are family oriented, so I want to be able to attend my daughter's sporting event. She's going to be in 3 different sports this year, so I haven't missed, I just missed her first volleyball game ever because I was out of town, but I want to go on 4 vacations this year, including a couple of family trips, and then conferences are on top of that, so I want to do that. I also want to help people, so I love helping people break through barriers and achieve their goals, I get a little more satisfaction out of that than hitting my own. So let's see, I don't really have too many financial goals. I'd like to pick up a couple of more larger multifamily properties, but I'm not out to buy just for the sake of buying. So we're going to grow our lending business to about 50 million in lendable assets, and we're, I think, pretty knocking on the door to that. So that's going to come up this year. So those are mine.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing.
Do I get one?
Yes.
Oh, because I saw like you walked away just when I was coming up. Okay, so I am going to make sure that whatever problems happen tonight don't happen ever again. That's number one. Number two, I am going to retire my wife, because that's the goal, that's the impossible. Number three is we have a lot of debt to pay off because I spent a lot of money on equipment. So we have a lot of debt to pay off, so I am going to pay off that debt. Yes. And I have one more, and it has to do with the fact that once we pay off that debt, we could go to Trinidad for Carnival next year.
Yeah,
so that's
excellent. Colin.
Oh, this is fair. Where's my stool, guys? No, we're good. We're good. I'm always looking up at people. There's quite a few different goals. One of them, and this is very fresh in my mind, I'm going to help my son get ready for state wrestling. So he really wants it, came up short this year. With that, I am also going to wrestle, and I say I'm going to stand on top of a podium within a year. So I've got those type of goals, a little bit outside of the comfort zone. Owen had mentioned it, partners with him, we will be at $50 million of lendable assets. Awesome. And I want to help at least 10 individuals break into this industry or become millionaires within a year of working with me. So those are kind of my goals.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Colin. Awesome. One more? Hello. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Ethan. Then a goal I have is
Yeah.
when I turn 14, I'm going to start working at Chick-fil-A.
Excellent. Excellent.
Then we're going to go on a cruise for a vacation.
Awesome.
A few weeks.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Love that. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Alea, and I run a cake pops business for the Omaha Children's Business Fair, where kids get to sell, make a business and sell stuff. And I would like to sell at least 350 cake pops in 2 business fairs.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Alea.
My name's Kai. I'm 18, and I got a couple goals: graduating high school, finding out kind of what my career in like real estate's going to be, and then sign some deals with my parents for properties. Maybe do like 3 or 4 papering, and then do a bunch of triage calls, and finally get my mom some bags because she doesn't get them for herself.
Awesome. Excellent. Thanks for sharing. Excellent. So we're going to talk to story number 2. Back to my story. This is my story part 2. So we talked about first story is I became a Tony Robbins coach. It was exciting, was struggling. My wife at the time was like, you need to go get another job. I'm like, okay. And I was in tech sales in the Bay Area for like 12 years. And all the time, for the past 12 years, I worked in the Bay Area and had resources from Sacramento drive back and forth. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just get another tech job for the Bay Area. But there was a period when I was looking for the job. Maybe I manifested this, I don't know, but they weren't hiring at the time. So I tried to get jobs and couldn't. So I'm trying to find a job. I'm struggling with income. We're struggling with Cobra. I've had my wife came home and like our card was denied and someone in line bought us groceries. We had that happen. So she had to deal with that, and she was on, in California it's called WIC, Women and Infant Children's. And if you know what WIC is like, you have to, checkout takes forever, because you have to scan each item. So she had to go deal with that. Well, I was trying to become an entrepreneur, and I had this passion, and everybody's like, what are you doing, Jason? But I just couldn't stop. And she took the hits because she had to deal with those struggles and was kind of struggling, and it got to the point where I needed to pay rent. It was like Monday. I'm struggling, and I talked to another coach on the team, and he's like, Jason, go find $2,500 by Friday in your personal coaching business, because pretty much everybody who worked at Tony Robbins had their own personal coaching business on the side. And I would go to the Rockland Chamber of Commerce, and I would network, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do that. This was early 2014. I had been a coach at the Tony Robbins team for about 5 months. There's about 120 coaches on the team. And there was definitely some like old school hazing kind of stuff going in that culture to try to get to where you earn a full client load. So he goes, let's get $2,500 this week with new clients and go do that. I'm like, okay, done. And he goes, now go post it to the Facebook page. The Facebook page was how the entire coaching team communicated with leadership. And everybody was on there. And I was a new coach trying to earn it as a coach at Tony Robbins. And I went to go respond to him, and I'm like, and words wouldn't come out. He's like, well, don't you want that to happen? I'm like, and the words would not come out. He's like, you want the money, right? I'm like, yes, I need the money. Go post. And I'm freezing. And he's a great coach. His name is Gabriel Patrick. And he knew my oldest son was Dash. Dash was 3 years old at the time. Gabriel says to me, post to the Facebook page that you're going to make $2,500 by Friday, and if you don't, you're going to eat a can of dog food. And I was like, I'm a little picky eater to begin with, you know? So he knows my son Dash. So he goes, imagine this. Dash is talking to his friends after school, and his friend says, hey, Dash, why do you live with your grandma? And Dash says, oh, because my dad wasn't willing to eat dog food to create financial independence for us. So it was like this gut punch, right? Just like, you know, and he's like, or do you want Dash to be saying, friends saying, how come you live this life? Oh, because my dad was willing to eat dog food. So I said yes, so I posted on there, posted on the page a video, I'm gonna have $2,500 in my personal business by close of business Friday, or I'm eating a can of dog food. And my stomach was turning in knots day after day after day after day. Gets to Friday, I closed 2 coaching contracts with members of the Chamber of Commerce. It was actually exactly $2,500, and both of them I met with Friday afternoon, and they said, can I pay you Monday? And I was not gonna screw it up by forcing the payment. I said, I will 100% take the payment on Monday. So I failed the challenge. So Saturday morning, I go into my office, and I walk into my office with some water, and I tried to talk my way into like putting ketchup on it, or the one that looks like steak, and he's like, no, generic liver flavor out of the can. What I didn't know at the time is there's chunks of bones in dog food. So when you chew it, there's bones in there. Before I started eating the dog food, something clicked in me, and I decided, I'm not doing this because it's a punishment. I'm doing something disgusting because I said so. And it was the most transformative thing I've ever done in my entire life. The video is on YouTube. It's on YouTube. I got about 70% of the can in before it was about to come back up, and I stopped. And what actually happened is I had been okay with setting big goals and not achieving them, because when I wouldn't achieve them, I'd just live off the dream of the next big goal over and over again. My stomach twisting that week was that part of me died. And at Tony Robbins, the coaches are rated on a couple different metrics. The number one metric they're rated on is renewal percentage. When your client is done with their contract, the percentage that renew their contract, that's the highest metric. So out of 120 coaches on the team, we get to July 1st, 2014, I was the number one coach on the team out of 120 coaches, 100% renewal rate. The next year, I was the highest earning coach on the team. I tripled the average coach salary working there. I was coaching the other coaches. I was coaching the most difficult clients. I was coaching 7- and 8-figure clients. And I wasn't making that money right there. But I had created the mindset that did that. And that's kind of led to, that was kind of like the shifting point where things started to move and grow. So that's when business started to grow. And it was one of the most powerful, transformative things I've ever done. And it was really gross and disgusting. So if you want to see it, you can go to my YouTube and search for dog food. It's on there. I don't know. I don't like to watch it. I already did it. So we talked about how to do the impossible. First step is make a decision. The second thing to do the impossible is to align with your target. Align with your target. How do you align with your target? You shift your frame. So now we're going to start talking about upgrading your mindset. We're already doing that. This whole entire talk is a frame shift. So, is mindset important? Let me give you an example of mindset. Let's just say, imagine that you like to run. It's fun, and you like to run mile. A mile is your race. And you like to compete, and you go out and every weekend, you go compete in races. And you're not that, you've never really placed higher than 5th or 6th, but you enjoy it, so you just like to run. And you're going to the race, and you see your buddy there, and you're in the locker room getting ready, and you go to tie your shoes, and the sole falls off your shoes. And your buddy says, hey, oh, I'm sorry, he sees you're upset. He's like, hey, you can borrow my shoes. So he gives you his shoes, and he noticed that the shoes he gives you are red. You had on blue shoes. So you put on the red shoes, you don't think anything of, you go out there, and you run the race, and you win the race. You win first place. Your buddy sees you so excited, so happy, he's like, keep the shoes. So you start wearing the red shoes. The next race, you win the next race. The week after that, you win. For the next 5 races, you win first in every single race. You qualify to go to a regional race. You're flying in there, You get there and your bag is gone. It gets lost. And you go down on Friday night before the race on Saturday to go buy a new pair of shoes, and you find that this town only sells blue shoes. There's not a single red pair of shoes in the entire town. So you buy the shoes you have, you put them on. How are you going to feel when you start walking onto the field? And the thing is, you're always in a mindset. You're always in a mindset. You're never not in a mindset. And you can also think of mindset as point of view. And that's why coaching is so powerful. Results coaching, mindset coaching is so powerful because you get a person on the outside because you can't see. It's very difficult to see your own stories. I literally wrote the book and I still use coaches. I use a lot of coaches because I can't see when I'm stuck in a story or a belief. So mindset is radically important. So all your thoughts come from your mindset. All your actions come from your mindset. Motivation comes from your mindset. Procrastination comes from your mindset. Excitement comes from your mindset. Fear comes from your mindset. Success comes from your mindset. Imposter syndrome comes from your mindset. Any of you have that? That imposter syndrome thing? Imposter syndrome is actually a good thing. Imposter syndrome is a good thing. Would you like to know why? Imposter syndrome is a good thing because it means your results have outgrown your identity of yourself. You've created more success than you think you should have. That's what imposter syndrome is. And what I've seen with all of the thousands of hours of coaching I've done, it's part of the growth cycle. I didn't feel imposter syndrome for like 2 years, and all of a sudden I felt it again. It's part of the cycle. We always go through that. Part of our brain going up. So mindset is paramount. So what I'm going to give you right now is the new formula for success, and this is what we've been talking about. So the old way, pick a target, work hard, repeat, right? That's what we're taught, right? Pick a target, work hard, repeat. If you don't know what to do, what do? Work harder. Because at least we feel better about working in the wrong direction than just sitting still. That's the old way. The new way, pick a target, align with the target, flow to the target. That's the new model. Pick a target, align with the target, take aligned action. Because, again, strategy, action is the byproduct of alignment. And when we go, decide, I'm going to hit the target. Commit, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Then the strategy will start popping up. Okay. So this is the old way. So here's an example. Let's say I'm from Austin, and I say, come visit me in Austin, Texas, and I give you an address that's 70% correct. And you start driving, and you realize halfway there it's not right. When you realize the address isn't right, do you keep driving? You stop and get your direction. That's the same thing as being 70% certain you can hit your target. Your measurement of alignment with your target is certainty. If you are 70% certain you can hit your target, you are 30% off target. With this visual right here, will you ever hit the target? How many of you have spent years doing this? I've spent years in this space, years. And us entrepreneurs, we believe in ourselves so much, and we'd rather work 80 hours over 40. I'm like, 10% certain, I'll go figure it out. So we start 10%, and 6 months later we get to 50, and then we get to 80. But you do not hit the target until you're 100% aligned. This methodology of pick a target, align with a target is how you stay in 100% alignment the entire time. And where this matters most is when you're doing things you've never done before. When you're in the unknown, that's where it matters most. And this is what I spend 99% of my time coaching clients on, is how to hit things in the unknown. That's the primary thing I'm after. Okay, so what we want to do, next slide, is, that's the formula, align with the target. Let's not take action that's not necessary. Okay, last part of my story. So, we had dog food. I had tripled the income of everybody in 2015. It was awesome. Like the average coach there made $48,000, I made $150. I started selling these on-site corporate workshops, and because Robbins had this like on-site program where they'd go to a client's business, and I sold one of those, and you could make like $3,000 to $8,000 a day, and I sold one, so I just started selling them to all my clients, and I did workshops in Australia and the Philippines, and I outsold the entire sales team doing those. It actually led to that entire department being overhauled next year because it kind of had fizzled out, but I sold 14 workshops in like 12 months. We're talking $10,000 a day, and basically they completely evolved that program into the business results coaching program, but they whacked the commission way down. like 80%. So there was no way I was going to make, so I left. So I actually ran an outsourcing company in the Philippines next. 2019, I started a coaching company called Excel Business Coaching. I was working with a full-time cold caller, and for 6 months, we cold called and did webinars and emails and texting and did not close a single contract. And I was like, I realized in that moment that you're not going to be a coach. It's not working. It's not meant for you. So I gave up, I quit, I cried. I gave it all I've got. 6 years in, my family's been suffering enough. And then the next 4 weeks, 5 contracts come in out of nowhere. And I was like, what just happened? And what happened was, that's when I started to realize that hard work doesn't create success. I grew up with a model, if you want to be successful, work hard. But that was the foundation of this alignment-based model. Because I realized that what had happened is I was trying so hard, I was in resistance and wasn't in alignment with the target, and simply quitting released the resistance and stuff just started coming in. So I started working on that. At the same time, I had been coaching Brandon Turner for about 2 years. And the only reason I talk about our one-on-one coaching is because we've talked about it on podcasts and publicly, because coaching is confidential. So that's the only reason I mention it. But we'd have a coaching call, and Brandon would be like, we should do an Instagram Live. And the first 2 years I coached him, I didn't know who he was, because I wasn't in real estate. And then so he would say, yeah, we should do an Instagram Live. And I'm like, yeah, let's do an Instagram Live. And then he wouldn't follow up. So I just started to think, oh, maybe he just doesn't follow up. And then 2019 comes, I hit the wall, I start to figure out that I'm out of alignment with him. And the reason I'm not working with him is because I wasn't at a high enough financial mindset to work with him. So I started working on my financial mindset. I started working on my beliefs. I started changing my beliefs every single day. I figured this out the first week of November in 2019. And after 20 days of doing those exercises daily, we have a coaching call. He says, let's do an Instagram Live. I'm like, okay, not expecting anything. The next day he texts me. We do an Instagram Live. I get 5 clients the next month. The next month I get 5 clients. 7 clients a month for the next 8 months. We hit August 2020. He invites me on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And I had 65 clients in my personal business. And I've never met anybody who had 65 clients in their personal business. 65 clients. And Jason Drees Coaching was just Jason Drees. He invites me on the Bigger Pockets podcast. I go on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and in the next 30 days, I had 192 people book in introductory coaching sessions. So Jason Drees Coaching went from me, 2 coaches, a salesperson, in 4 weeks. And then I also did my first version of the Mindset Academy in Q4, and my business actually 10x'd that year. I went from 100,000 to 1 million in 12 months. And 70% of that 10x was in Q4. The next year I tripled revenue. And through that process, when we started to, I'll tell you the story about frame shifting here. That's where I discovered frame shifting, what framing is. So a big part of my coaching methodology is learning how to change beliefs. And it's something I've been obsessing over for like 15 years. Now, the Tony Robbins model, which was great for the time, but it's a different model, basically uses a peak emotional state to shift your belief structure. And that does work. You create a belief structure, but that peak state is temporary. When that peak state goes away, the old belief structure comes back. What I had discovered out how to do is, in 2014, I discovered how to change a belief in literally 2 or 3 minutes. And that right there was one of the tools that I used that kind of was start to help people change their mindset. And it was one of the foundational tools. And then we get to, I'm going through that ridiculous growth. It was really great. Money was flowing like crazy. And I'm just every day thinking, don't screw it up, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. I've never had in my life have I experienced this level of overwhelm. And then Brandon and I did my 6-week group coaching program, Mindset Academy, where I was doing 4 hours, an hour session, 4 times a week for 6 weeks, while I had 64 clients. And I was doing 2 hours of new content a week. I was just, my brain was just fried. And I'm just sitting there one day going, oh my God, this is so awesome, but I don't know what to do. And I was sitting there and I had this moment, and this content comes to me in moments. Like I had this moment where it was like, August 1st, you had everything dialed in. November 15th, it's chaos. And then my brain was like, well, if we brought Jason from 2010 to August 1st, he would have been completely, totally overwhelmed. So that told me that there was a Jason in the future who could come to this moment and know what to do. And I just thought about that version of me in the future for a second. And all of a sudden, I felt lighter. I felt more confident. My stress went away. And I felt clarity and focus, and I didn't know what happened. I'm like, what just happened? And I didn't know what happened. And then 4 hours later, I was in overwhelm again. I did that again. I did it again and again and again and again. And that's when I started discovering how to shift your frame. Because your frame is literally the frequency of you. The reason why my coaching is so unique, and I'm the only person on the planet doing this, is I'm coaching at the level above mindset. Everyone else is still coaching at the mindset level. I love Tony Robbins. I love the work, the inspiration he's made on my life. And the content that he created was created in the 80s. In the 80s, we weren't accessing the frame level of consciousness. We are now. So it looks like this. Okay, we're after action, right? We want the magic action. What's the magic action that gets me the prizes? Like, that's what we're obsessed over as entrepreneurs. What to do. What to do. What does action come from? Yes. Mindset creates your action. What creates your mindset? That's what I call your frame. And this is what it looks like. Frame creates mindset, creates action. Frame, our bodies, remember 7th grade science, we're made of atoms. They can vibrate at a frequency. The frequency of you is the frequency of your thoughts. The frequency of your thoughts is your action. If you are in a happy frequency, happy thoughts, happy action. Sad frequency, sad thoughts, sad action. 60% certain you can hit your numbers this quarter frequency, 60% aligned mindset, 60% aligned action. 100% certain you can hit your numbers this month, aligned mindset, aligned action. You can also think about frame as your point of view, because it's more than just beliefs. Beliefs actually exists here. And the old coaching model that I used to do, that I was taught, so we got action, mindset, frame. So let's say you are 70% certain you can hit your target. That means you have 70% of your beliefs are positive and the rest are negative. Okay? So you have misalignment at the mindset level. The old model, the old coaching model, would be use positive thinking, focus on those, and ignore these to create an artificially aligned mindset, artificially aligned frame. That was the tool. And that's what all results-based coaching is. So if you hire any results-based coach, Tony Robbins, those guys, it's basically forced accountability. That's what it is. They had me eating dog food. So the old coaching model is trying to fix this misaligned frame through force. What I discovered is that you don't have to fix this one because you can just shift to that one. And how do you shift to that? Can you get a sense of a future version of you that understands frame shifting more than you do now? Like literally, our focus, we're operating at such a level right now, you can focus into versions. And what happens is you hold that frame, new thoughts will start coming up. New ideas will start coming up. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I haven't heard of that guy from high school and haven't thought about him in 10 years. You call him and there's a deal. Questions? In the back?
Do you think the biggest shortcut to getting in the right frame, the right mindset, is changing the people around you? You mentioned Brandon Turner gave you a lightning bolt of mindset shift when it came to your coaching and the opportunities that came to you. Not giving him all the credit for it, but he was certainly a catalyst. Do you think that that's a good shortcut?
Well, the lightning bolt was actually when my Tony Robbins coach asked me, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? I used to think for a while that the only reason I was successful is because I met Brandon. But what I've come to realize is if it wasn't Brandon, it would have been somebody else. So being around people who are at a higher frame makes it easier for you to be at a higher frame, but it's not required.
All right.
Down? Yeah. Excellent. Because eventually you'll be above everyone else around you. Yeah.
Are you referring to frame as the frequency? Are we increasing or elevating our frequency to vibrate at a higher level and achieve the higher goals that we have that we cannot achieve at a lower frequency?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can think about it like this. Time. This one is growth. So I like the idea that every day that you're alive, you are more than you were the previous day. So every day, your frequency is going up. And you can feel perfectly dialed in and aligned right here. And you're like, life is great. And 2 weeks later, you're in chaos and you don't know why, right? And you're trying to do the same things you did 2 weeks ago and it doesn't work. Because what's actually happening is because you're at a higher frequency, there's different things to integrate here than there is here. So as you go up, you have to keep integrating into alignment. And they're typically past experiences, past emotional trauma, past things that are stuck, that are coming up there. So I like to call those like sandbags. Imagine it's like a hot air balloon. So when you go up here, you have to drop the sandbag. And to go higher, the fuel, fire makes the balloon stay up or go up, but once you stay up is when you drop the sandbags. So the more that you grow, the more you have to integrate. And sometimes you'll have dealt with that thing right here, and it comes back right here. Questions?
Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for coming here. My name's Mike.
Yeah.
Seeing all these kids here and your analogy about the race with the shoes and all reminded me of my youngest son. He's 18. He's a state champion in pole vault, and he's coming back to try to repeat, but he's super stressed. What kind of advice would you give to a young kid who is kind of at their peak, but wants to go further?
Well, I'd say as his dad, hire him a coach. I've coached high school athletes before, but the stress is coming from a perceived future reality that he doesn't want, right? The stress is coming about something's happening, right? And basically the stress is a reaction. It's an emotional reaction. The way to process the emotional reaction is to sit in it. So if you have an emotional reaction where you're stressed or you're scared or you're stressed or you're feeling financial scarcity, you need to process that reaction. So what to do to teach him is to sit with it, be present with it. Let the thoughts go, let the ideas go. And if you give it a few moments, the peak of any emotion lasts only a few minutes and it goes away. What happens to most of us is we don't like the way that stress feels, so we ignore it, which is like a dead cat in your closet. And you just ignore it, but you can put an air freshener up, but you can still stink it. Now, cleaning it out is going to suck, but it's only going to take a moment and then it's gone. So it's literally the processing of the reaction that gets you out of stress. But the stress is actually caused by his mindset because he has a belief about this present life situation. His mindset is saying life should be like this and it's not matching, and that gap is causing the stress. So if you take ownership of your beliefs about the situation and change it, the stress will go away.
That kind of connects to my question was, how do you shift your frame to a higher frequency? Like what would be some practical things to do?
There's a full training on frame shifting, and I'm going to give you guys access to that tonight, but I can't go into major detail on frame shifting tonight because I don't have the time. But the simple way to frame shift is just imagine the version of you that knows how or has the result. It's literally that simple because you're focused on that. If you hold that frame for like 90 seconds, you'll start thinking different thoughts. And I'll show you how to get the free gifts in a little bit, okay? So if we look at here, how we typically make decisions with our mindset is that our past self is making decisions for our present self. That's your mindset. Frame shifting is making decisions from your future self, making decisions from the future version of you. That's what's actually happening. And I wouldn't believe this if I hadn't proven it so many times over and over and over again. Literally, there was a time where my business, I was struggling in sales, and then I realized I was out of alignment and had stories in my head, and I shifted some beliefs and frames, and I did it consistently for a few weeks, and all of a sudden leads started popping in with no different action. So that works for me because I created my mindset to believe that works. Because whatever you believe is your reality. The most difficult thing is unbelieving what we don't want to believe. But the easiest way to change your beliefs that I discovered is you change them simply by taking ownership of them. So, we're all after the results, right? Cash and prizes. We want the goodies at the bottom, cash and prizes. When you're not getting the cash and prizes, your brain says, it's a strategy problem. So then you start chasing strategy and you start reading podcasts and reading books and talking to people and mentors and trying to figure it out. And how many of you had a mentor who knows how to do it and when you tried it, it didn't work because you weren't in the right frame? So what you want to remember is the action is the byproduct of alignment. So when your frame is in alignment, your mindset creates an aligned mindset, aligned action, aligned results. And since alignment is the formula to hit any target, meaning you can hit any target you can align with. You can hit any goal that you can align with. Since alignment can allow you to hit any target, you might as well do the impossible. It's simply a matter of game. And when you do the impossible, is it good for you? Is it good for those around you? Is it good for society? Like, it's good for everything when we play at that level. Not easy, but incredibly rewarding. Okay, questions? Yes, it is all mindset, yep. Basically, you get put into such a powerful physical state that you're putting out more energy than the fire and you don't get burned. So if you text this number right here, text the word gift. If you want a QR code, there's a QR code in the next line if you can scan it from back there. If you shoot a text there, it'll reply with a link. One link is a copy of the slide deck, a 1-hour training on frame shifting. I also have a 5-minute mindset alignment tool. So if you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, if you read this, it'll reset you. You can do it in the morning. And then I also have a link to book in a Do the Impossible Accelerator session with my team. It's a 30-minute session. We'll get you pointed at that target, get you focused, And that's complimentary there. It also includes a link with some of the promotions I have right now for any of you who are interested in coaching. Everybody get that? Got a few more slides here. So the system I created to do the impossible was Jason Drees Coaching. And the program kind of uses a couple different formulas. This is one right here. And this is the frame model. So basically, to keep myself in alignment, I remember I got to align my frame. The right target is possible and impossible targets. We need both. Because impossible targets are usually not actionable, but it's the frame where it will happen. So you want to spend like 90% of your time focused on possible targets and 10% on impossible. Impossible are how you jump up. A is alignment, and then M is mindset, breakthrough past limitations. Mindset's also where you feel misalignment, positive, negative emotions. And execution is daily habits. I also created, next slide, this is the Do the Impossible framework. This is all the areas where misalignment occurs. The model is number 1, learning what alignment is. Number 2 is alignment with success. Number 3 is alignment with yourself. Number 4 is alignment with impossible targets. And number 5 is mastering the process of life. And if you coach with me or my team long enough, we will eventually get you aligned in all of those areas. And if you watch the testimonial videos on clients on my website, you'll often find them having trouble describing what they get out of coaching. They're kind of speechless. Because this type of coaching balances every area of your life. Because wherever the misalignment is, it comes up. I have people come in and want to make more money, their business is plateaued, and it hasn't plateaued because their financial mindset is not growing. Or they're having a relationship issue at home that's affecting them. So that's to Do the Impossible framework. I also created this, really proud of this coaching team. Everybody on my team has been coaching for over a decade, every single one of them. They're all my peers from the Tony Robbins days in 2013. They're so good, they're who I call when I get coaching. They coach me. That's my coaching team. Can we do the video from back there? Okay, here we go.
I mean, honestly, like since I started working with him a couple years ago, my income has doubled. My free time has probably doubled. I moved to Maui. I live here now. It's the benefit of coaching. It's like, I know that I need to do it, but with Jason, I was able to like really push that forward and actually get these things done.
Being in coaching has been absolutely life-changing for me. Being in alignment is key to a fulfilled life.
You're gonna realize, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can do this. Maybe it's just in my mind.
He fully embraced what I was feeling and wanted to help me get it out there. And that was such an empowering moment for me, and told me that Jason was the kind of person that I wanted to work with.
I didn't realize that I was carrying weight that wasn't mine, because you just get used to carrying it. And then you dump that weight and you fly.
My podcast is flourishing. I quit my W-2 and I'm starting a business. 1 year ago, I never could have conceived these targets.
Since joining Jason 10 months ago, I have overcome all of my limiting beliefs in both my personal and professional life. It's absolutely amazing the transformation that I have experienced since joining this coaching program. I've also increased my profit by 7.5 times compared to this point in time last year.
So then, last question. We're doing the impossible, right? You can do it alone, or do you want help? If you want to do it alone, here are some tools for you. You can do it on yourself. You can, my book, Do the Impossible. It's also on Audible. I have some copies here we're going to give away. My podcast is called Transform. There's a Jason Drees Coaching app. There's a free quick start course in there as well. And there's also a JDC client community in there. So those are the tools you can do on your own. Is anybody interested on how to get help? Want to go faster? Work with JDC Coach. We do 60 or 90 minutes of coaching per month, typically 30-minute calls, 2 or 3 30 or 45-minute calls, depending which contract you do. You can work with me. I've got room to onboard 3 clients in the month of March. My coaching team is awesome as well. You also get access to my Mindset Academy library, which is literally 3 years of group coaching content in as well. I also do live events. And how coaching works, it's like, think A to B, right? You're going to show up, talk about where point A is, where point B is. We're going to validate that. And usually we're going to make sure point B is high enough. So we're going to raise point B. You run off, start taking actions. You show up to the next call, talk about point B. If you hit point B, we celebrate, go to C. If we didn't hit point B, that's where the coach will start to diagnose why the movement isn't happening. But that's what it's always going, A to B, A to B, A to B. And when you start coaching, it's really simple. You do an intake questionnaire. We do a DISC personality strengths assessment. There's a 60-minute kickoff call. We have a portal that has session prep forms in there and other coaching tools. And then what we primarily do, the top 6 things we do is we help people grow their income, achieve more in less time. We turn the impossible into inevitable, hit your big targets faster, break through sticking points, get unstuck, and literally create certainty and find your next move. The right time to hire a coach is you may have plateaued, you're stuck, you need a breakthrough, you're not making progress, they're putting in the effort, it's not working, you want to unlock your full potential, or you want to do the impossible. Those are all great times to hire a coach. So, in summary, do the impossible, keep upgrading your mindset, use a system if you want to go faster. If you'd like my help, we'd love to help you. But otherwise, I just want you to do it anyway. Here's my personal cell phone number. If you want to text me, you want to work with me, shoot me a text. And there are some promotions on coaching right now. We have some handouts, as well as there's a link in that text if you opted in. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
How about that? I mean, it is a wintry night. We have 140 people that showed up tonight to see Jason Drees. We had 224. I can't believe it. So thank you guys. Thank you, Jason, for coming down, man. Can I give you another big round of applause, man? I appreciate it so much. I don't know if you guys know it, but I was following Jason, and I posted about one of my favorite band is Tool. Posted a Tool comment about going to the show. Then Colin Schwartz and I were going, and then Jason jumps on there and it's like, "Hey, he's like, my kids and I just toured and did 7 shows at them." And then the conversation got going from there. Got him on the podcast, and we were just Owen and I were like, "Oh my God, we got Jason coming on." And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll come to Omaha." I'm like, "Shut up! I can't believe it." So it was such a great night. I'm so excited.